All right, let's get started on our project. So you want to have your eye hook, you have your yarn, this wonderful ice cream cotton blend by Lion Brand. Get your pattern out, make sure that you have your checklist on the from your pattern so that you can check each row as you go. So my plan for this pattern is I'm going to bring you through the beginning couple of rows, and then I'm going to show you some things that I want to make sure that you pay attention to so that they don't trip you up as you go. But I'm definitely not bringing you through every row because you'll see that it just repeats. But I want to bring you through any row that has a new element in it. Okay, so we're going to start off with what I call Coach Mel's magic loop, and I call it that because you don't have to do all this stuff around your fingers and figure out what to do with it. I did a live on this a little while ago, and a YouTube video is out there. So what I do is I keep this on my table, and I make this little loop here. All right, now the important part here is that my yarn that I'm going to be using is over top of my tail, okay? And here's what's going to start my loop. So the first thing in the pattern to do is start that magic loop. So all you do is go through the middle of that, pull this yarn, and bring it up. That just started your magic loop, okay? Way more simple than all those wrap it around your fingers and left, right, and center. Okay, so from here, the next row one starts with a chain two. So it's a little bit tricky to work in this loop. So I'm gonna bring it up here so you can see it. So I'm gonna do my chain one, chain two. Now the most important part as you're doing this is that you stay on top of both pieces here, the tail and the loop. So we need to do 7 more double crochets. Now this does count as your first double crochet, that chain two. So we're gonna do 7 more double crochets into this loop. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, I split there. Hold on, let me go fix that. All right, here's 3. Gotta get your how you're holding this is probably the trickiest part. Here's 4. All right, we got 5. 6. Not doing this very gracefully, but it's getting the job done. And 7. I was leaning on my yarn, so I wasn't pulling it through very good. Okay, so if you look at that, including your chain two, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's considered 8 double crochets. You know, I like the magic, so I actually untwist this before I pull it. All right, so I'm gonna untwist my tail and then pull that tail. That is gonna cinch that right up. I have never had this magic loop fail on me, where some of the other ways I have had it fail. Okay, so now what the instructions say is that we're gonna slip stitch to the top of the first double crochet. So remember we started with a chain two, which is right here. All right, I don't want you to go into the chain. I want you to go into this stitch. Let me bring it up here. I want you to go into this stitch right here. All right, so we're gonna go into that stitch, make sure that you're under both loops, and we're gonna just slip stitch to bring that together. All right, so that's row 1. All right, row 2, we are going to chain 2. So right here, I'm gonna chain 1, 2. Now, when I say double crochet in the same stitch, because you're gonna see this throughout the pattern, that means this stitch right here. So where you did that slip stitch in that chain 2, I need to put 2 double crochets in that stitch right there. So 1 and 2. All right. Now what the instructions say is that we are doing 3 double crochets in each double crochet around. So my next stitch is right here, so I need to put 3 double crochets in there. So yarn over, go through, pull up your loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. I'm going to do that 3 times into that same stitch. Here's 2, and here's 3. All right, I have to keep doing that all the way around. So each stitch, we're gonna double crochet. So go ahead and do that, 3 double crochets in each stitch. Go ahead and do that, and I'm gonna meet you over here after you do your last 3 in that last stitch. All right, here we go. We've got this nice circle started. Okay, so I've just done my 3 double crochets in each stitch. Now I'm back over here. Here's my chain where I started, my chain 2. I'm not going to go in the chain. I'm going to slip stitch right up here into this stitch, pull through that stitch, pull through on the hook to finish that off. Okay, so we're going to go on to the next row, which is row 3. All right, so make sure you're checking off of your list that you just did rows 1 and rows 2, or rounds 1 and round 2, since we're working in the round. Okay, so row or round 4 starts with a chain, I'm sorry, we're on 3. Starts with a chain of 4. Now, I'm gonna explain in a second why. 2, 3, and 4. Okay. This is going to count, the first 2 chains is going to count as a double crochet, just like it did in the last round. And then the other 2 chains are going to count as a chain 2. All right. So now I'm going to do instructions say double crochet in the same stitch. So remember that stitch that we slip stitch to, that's what I mean by the same stitch. So go ahead and put your double crochet in there. Okay. So now we have this little open stitch. So it's like it's a double crochet and then 2 across. All right. Now what we have to do is we're going to skip 1 stitch. We're going to do 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 double crochet, all in this stitch. So in the pattern, you'll see that the things that are going into 1 stitch, they're in parentheses. Chain 2, and double crochet, I'm still in that same stitch, 1, 2. All right, I'm gonna skip the next stitch right there, and I'm gonna do the same thing over here. This sometimes is referred to as a V stitch, sometimes it's a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. We're gonna continue that, but we have to skip this stitch. So I'm jumping over to here, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet into that same stitch. All right, so see it's giving you that open look to the pattern. There's almost a V up and a V down. All right, so you're gonna continue that all the way around. Each time after you finish that, you're gonna skip the next stitch and then do your V, skip another stitch and then do your V. So we're gonna finish that all the way around, and I'll meet you when you get back over here to the other side. Alrighty, so we've made our way around doing that double chain 2 double, and now we're over here to where we started with that chain 4. So remember I said this counted as a double crochet chain 2. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the second chain here. So here's 1 down here and 2 up here. I had already done it, so it was screaming out there for me. Pull through and pull through with that slip stitch. All right, so now we are back attached. Okay, we are going on to we're going on to row 4. Yes, 4. So we are gonna start, we just need to get into this chain 2 space to start. So we're just gonna do 1 little slip stitch to pull ourselves over there. All right, so now we're in that chain 2 space. We're gonna do a chain 2, a double crochet, a chain 2, and a double crochet, and everything, sorry, 2 more double crochets, 1 and 2. Everything just happened in that chain 2 space that we had from the row before. All right, so let's take a look here. So we have our chain 2, a double crochet, a chain 2, which brought us across, a double crochet, and a double crochet. We're gonna continue to do that around. It's a double crochet, 2 of them, in this space here now, okay? So I'm going over to that space with my double, second double, chain 2, 2 more doubles, 1 and 2. All right, so what you'll see start to happen is it'll start to give it that little bit of a point as we're working our way around. Let's do one more together. So we're jumping over to this chain 2 space. Be careful that you don't go into that space. You want to go into the space where it's the V, and that's the chain 2 that we did from the row before. So double crochet, 2, chain 2, whoops, and then double crochet 2, 1 and 2. All right, so you could see those little peaks starting to form. All right, so you're going to continue doing that all the way around in each of the chain 2 spaces that we created in the last row. All right, I'll meet you back over to the end to show you how to finish off this row. All right, so to finish up this row, it's a slip stitch. So again, we're not slip stitching to the chain, but we're slip stitching right here to the top of this stitch. So go ahead and go in, pull through, pull through. All right, that finishes row 4. So row 5, instructions are that we are going to start with a chain 2, and then we are going to go over to this chain 2 space. So chain 2. All right, we're going to come over to this chain 2 space. So this has a little bit of a different element in it, so I'll bring you through this. So we're going to do 1 double crochet, chain 2, whoops, and then 1 double crochet, all in that same chain 2 space. Okay, so it's like that V stitch. All right, now over our next 2 stitches, we're going to double crochet 2 together. Now it's really important that you understand, I'm sorry, before we do that, we have to do 1 double crochet right here. I was getting ahead of myself. So the important thing that I wanted to show you is that when it says, when you come out of your chain 2 space and it says double crochet in next stitch, it is immediately after this last stitch. Now sometimes you're going to have 2 or 3 double crochets in here, and sometimes this gets hidden. Super, super duper important that you go right into that stitch immediately following that chain 2 space. So put your double right there. All right, now we're going to do a double crochet 2 together. So over these next 2 stitches right here where my thumbs are, we have to double crochet 2 together. So it's a yarn over, you go into the first stitch, pull up your loop, yarn over, and we're just going to come through the first 2 loops on the hook. So we still have 2 loops left on the hook. We're going to yarn over again, but now I'm going to slide over to the next stitch, pull up my loop, yarn over, come through just the first 2 on the hook. We're going to yarn over again, and we're going to finish the stitch by pulling through all 3. All right, so what that did right there, it's sometimes called a decrease, is it took 2 stitches, and you'll see up here it turned it into just 1. All right, I'll do that one more time with you, but let's get ourselves back up here. So next stitch is a double crochet. All right, and now we're at our repeat. So we're going into the chain 2 space with a double, chain 2, and a double. We need a double crochet in the first stitch right after finishing that combination. And now we're getting back down to this V part where we have to double crochet 2 together. So it's a yarn over, pull up your loop, yarn over, come through 2, yarn over into the next stitch, pull up your loop, yarn over, come through 2, and then to finish, we yarn over, and we're gonna go through all 3. Okay, so that is now a repeat that continues all the way around. So I'm gonna do my 1 double, then in this space, it's a double chain 2 double. We then have a 1 double and then our double crochet 2 together. So we're gonna continue that around until you get over here to this last one, and I will show you how to finish up this round. So go ahead and finish your round 5, and I'll meet you over at the other side. All right, so I finished row 5 right before I did the last double crochet 2 together. So you're gonna yarn over, go into this next stitch, pull up your loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then this one right here is that second stitch that you're gonna use for the 2 together. Pull up your loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over through all 3 on the hook, and then we're gonna slip stitch all the way up here to this first double crochet. All right, so that finishes row 5. Row 6, we're gonna start off with a chain 2, 1, 2. All right, now we're gonna put that first double crochet right underneath that chain. That's what I mean when I say in first stitch. So yarn over, go into that first stitch. Okay, that's your double. Now we're gonna work in the chain 2 space. So again, we're doing 1 double, chain 2, 1 double in that space. We're gonna come out of it right here with a double in the next 2 stitches. So that's 1, double in the next stitch, that's 2. We're gonna skip 1 this time. All right, so we're skipping this stitch right here, and we're gonna hop over here with a double. 1 more over here. And then we go back to our repeat. 1 double, chain 2, 1 double, and we come out of that with our double crochet, skip 1, double crochet, do your repeat. All right, so you go ahead and finish making yourself around for row 6, and I will meet you over at the end. All right, coming to the end of row 6 here. This is gonna be my skipped. So I did my, in the chain 2 space, double crochet, there's my skip. And coming all the way over here to do the slip stitch and bring it all together. Excellent, all right. I'm gonna bring you through row 7. It does have a double crochet 2 together again. You'll see that it's either the 2 together or the skip. Sometimes it's a skip 1, sometimes skip 2, sometimes skip 3. So just make sure every single row is just a little bit different. Actually, I think there's only one place where I tell you to repeat a row exactly the same. So we are starting row 7 with a chain 2. You are going to double crochet in the next stitch, so that's right here, double crochet, and we are doing the same thing in that chain 2 space. We are doing our double crochet, chain 2, whoops, 1, 2, I was about to do another double crochet, and then we're gonna hit those next 2 chains, or next 2 stitches with a double 1, double 2. All right, now we have a double crochet 2 together again. So we're going into the first stitch, yarn over, pull up your loop, yarn over, come through 2, yarn over, into the next stitch, pull up your loop, yarn over, come through 2, and we're going to yarn over and go through all 3. All right, so we did our 2 together, and then we need to do 1 double crochet, and in the next stitch, 1 double crochet. All right, so I'm now back up to that chain 2 space from the prior row. So this is where I'm going to do my 1 double, chain 2, and 1 double. And then remember, coming out of that, you have to hit that first stitch. Again, when we only have the 1 double, chain 2, 1 double, it's easy to see it. I'm going to do one more row with you after this where we have this a little bit, taking up a little bit more of that space, so that you could see how sometimes it can be tricky. If your count goes off, most of the time it's because you missed this first stitch coming out. All right, so go ahead and finish your way around for row 7. I'll meet you at the end. All right, so again, I stopped this row right before I did my last 2 double crochet 2 together. So I have 1, 2 stitches left right there. So we're gonna come in, pull up a loop, go through 2, come in, pull up that loop, go through 2, and then bring it through all 3. And we're jumping all the way over here for our slip stitch, bringing it together. All right, so I'm gonna do the start of one more row with you, which is row 8. And just because it's just a slight bit different in what we're doing in this space, and I just wanna see, I want you to see how sometimes that stitch coming out can get hidden a little bit. So we're gonna do a chain 2. So 1, 2, we're gonna go double crochet in that stitch and the next stitch. So in the first stitch and in the next stitch. All right, we're coming into this chain 2 space. It's 2 double crochets, 1, 2, it's a chain 2, and 2 more double crochets. So we're putting a total of 4 double crochets into that chain 2 space. So this is gonna increase it. All right, now it's still pretty easy to see. There it is, that stitch. So now we need to go double crochet 1, double crochet 2, and double crochet 3. Okay, now the next part of this round is that we are going to be skipping, just checking to see how many, just 1. So skipping 1, that one right there. And we're gonna jump over to here. And it's 1, 2, 3. And we get back up to that chain 2 space where we're doing 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles. 2 doubles. Ah, my yarn is stuck. Chain 2, 2 doubles. All right, and then coming out of it, we need to start right there in that stitch, and we'll be going 1, 2, 3, skip 1, 1, 2, 3. All right, I'm gonna go leave you on your own. If there's anything else that I come up with that I feel that you need to hop back to the video, I will jump back on, but off you go. Have fun with this. Remember, mark your checklist each time you do a row, because every single row, I think except for rows 11 and 12, I'll verify, are just slightly different. So you need to pay attention to what you're doing in the chain 2 spaces where it's going to be different, how many, because we do increases, and what you're doing, if you're double crocheting together or if you're skipping. Okay, this row is going to be skipping, and you'll see that I do some skips and some togethers. I think there's one row where you're going to double crochet 3 together, so you do the same thing. You go in, pull up your loop, come through 2, go into the next stitch, pull up your loop, go through 2, and go into your third stitch, pull up your loop and go through 2, and then you're going to have 4 left on the hook that you will come through. All right, so onward and upward. Enjoy this. Look at how these colors are changing. This is just so much fun. Enjoy, and I might check in with you towards the end of the video. I'll let you know. All right, see you soon.